like make this video kind of quick and just like to the point, because there's like a concerning issue that instead of just like instead of me just like saying what's like right or wrong or whatnot, I want to just bring up the challenge on like looking into like what is expected of me and like others, and like just the topic of what is even respect. How do you give respect? What is, and even like here's the question is like, is respect ever properly demanded? Like, can you demand respect from someone? Is that even respect then? Because here's like kind of the scenario on so getting more to like to the point, because because think of like how like I there's so much like planning and like trying to like either like make notes or this or that, and it's like I'm sorry if I go in circles on things, but trying to look into just like very thing of like respect. Uh, I wish there's like just a defined like Webster dictionary or something that is just like consistent. Because thing with uh uh because the simple thing of like where I'm thinking of like in specific of respect is where people have this idea of giving respect is looking at pronouns. Now pronouns, like ever since can recall of like even the teaching of pronouns was about just being consistent definition of him, her. There was never a you get to choose what your pronoun is. It was just uh, there was no preferred pronoun. So and to get like more to that on like certainly I'll do my very best to give respect to anyone that because here's the thing, like a big difference there is with what preferred put in label or so preferred names, nicknames, like in this video, like I'm looking like kind of like a raccoonish thing with feathers, and and I have a nickname of Rosillo. Like that's yes, totally, like there's understanding of like on a preferred name, but a preferred identity, because what that's pushing on, because thing that this make bring up or so is like, oh, don't push your belief on me and stuff, or uh, the whole concern of like, oh, forcing a belief on someone else. So then what's that to say that like, oh, it's fine to now disrespect my belief on what I understand to be true just because you want to be comfortable hearing someone say him or her uh, knowingly that it's wrong. Like through the internet and stuff, and through sounding voice and stuff, yes, 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 it can be mistaken. I'm not saying anything about like, oh, I think you're just this, and like I'm just going to assume yeah, the whole thing of like assuming the gender and stuff. I'm saying that when it is very clear, like like again, the whole just phrasing of a preferred pronoun right away brings up flags to me of like, well, why are you saying that you need to be preferred this kind of pronoun when it's like I get like putting the label on like him or her just so it's not mistaken, but like out of respect, I gotta say what I honor and respect as you being a fellow human being, that the Bible says in Genesis that we are created in God's image, male and female. He's created. It's like Genesis 1:27, I believe. Just thinking of like top of the head because like kind of looked it up quite a bit at times. But meaning, I will give you all the respect as you been made in the image of God. Like uh, that's like honoring not just you, but like glorifying God and uh, my whole life belief in that we are created. Now, like, of course, we could go into arguments of like if God exists and go in all sorts of things like that, but like, I'm talk about where that doesn't impose on anyone's belief, like doesn't compromise anyone's belief. And I'm not compromising my belief to think to respect you in that way, and you don't need to compromise your belief just because I believe that way. Like, so I guess all to say that that's kind of uh, the conundrum here, that Christians believe that the Bible teaches that we are made a certain way, male or female, and we can't just change that. We can't just like suddenly one day like, oh, I and to even say like, oh, then you were born that way. Well, then be born like a certain to think that you're like born in the wrong body or something, then you're saying that what God made a mistake. Uh, but trying to not like trail into like that whole uh, debate on just simply trying to say like that whether you are male or female, whatever science that you come about on that, because could even get in science on like how like there's nothing telling on a brain being male or female. I'll throw that out there, but all to say that there's got to be like a consistency with it, and it's and pronouns always were like what everyone else identifies you as, not you get to just choose your and that's where like nicknames come, like yeah, you get to choose certain identities that you want to be named on as, like with nicknames and this and that. But so all again, like to all say that like where this comes about is trying to figure out how I should like respectfully give someone's ideal respect by being as kind as I can. Like I'm fine not just like I'm of course not going to like go all about this every time like it's just brought up and like the best way that I then can do without disrupting someone's uh I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like how to say uh to not again like suddenly go on to preaching all this. Uh I can always just call someone by name and not like not have to compromise me wanting to be fully honest and true to not fall into this deceptiveness that what I believe that what that encourages. And this is where like I get to uh, the Bible of course doesn't be so specific and just like oh at this time of our age at like oh now they're like you shall not do this or that. You shall not use something pronoun that like in this scenario this or that. It's like uh, there is, however, a principle to kind of that was brought up, and it was brought up like with an example of food being offered to idols. Now, the issue, uh, of course, the issue was is that we worship one God, and there's only one God, and all the idols are just false gods. Uh, and so to say that we participate in that or like to like oh sure like let's find out like sacrifice the food to the idol, it's not going to like do anything to us. It can really show as a very bad example. So I'll just bring up this verse uh and as you see is First Corinthians 8 uh now concerning food offered to idols, we know that all of us possesses knowledge. This knowledge puffs up, but loves builds up. So that's an interesting thing right here. That like just because you have knowledge doesn't mean like you just can say what be in the right or whatnot. But move on. But love builds up, and that's a big thing. I'll pause even like for that. This is all about like the Bible teaches a lot on loving others. So like again, like I am not condone like not saying it's wrong to like just because of some scenario or something to like put on hate or disrespect someone. No, it's again like trying to understand how to that we can still share love, but also sharing love is like with truth and like try to get with uh do that a little bit here or try to point that out. If anyone imagines that he knows something does not yet know as he ought to know, but if anyone loves God, he is known by God. That right there is like kind of an interesting statement. If anyone imagines that he knows something, he does not know yet. So that kind of like, what does that sound like? Like you think you know something, and that's a danger of like just stating something as fact before you even like really looked into stuff. Uh, Therefore, as to eating of food offered to idols, we know that an idol has no real existence. Like right there, it's kind of like proclaiming that and that there is no God but one. Bible's pretty clear, like is not afraid to be like very bold on God's the only God. Uh, for although there may be so-called gods in heaven or on earth, as indeed there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is one God, Father, from whom are all things and for whom we exist, and one Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we all things and through whom we exist. However, not all possesses this knowledge, meaning not everyone like either acknowledges it or could say like all the foreign person out like in wilderness that like just never heard of it, but some through former associations with idols eat food as really offered to an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled. Food will not commend us to God. We are no worse off if we do not eat, and no better if we do eat, saying like it's not going to do anything to us. But take care that this right of yours does not somehow become a stumbling block to the weak. There was a previous verse I kind of wish I thought of like looking up. There's another verse somewhere that I'm recalling in my head that it states how uh, uh, everything's lawful to do, but not everything's helpful. Like we're free to do what we want, but that's not going to be helpful. At times, it's very destructive if we just do what we want. So uh, there's kind of a point to that. It's like, sure, you could do what you want, do all the means of what your heart desires, but just understand the consequences to what all that applies. Just because you do something doesn't mean you have some consequence to it. So, yeah. But moving on from like verse 9, but take care that this right of yours does not somehow become a stumbling block to the weak. For if anyone sees you who have knowledge eating in an idol's temple, will he not be encouraged if his conscience is weak to eat food offered to idols? And so, by your knowledge, this weak person is destroyed, the brother of for whom Christ died, thus sinning against your brothers and wounding their conscience when it is weak, you sin against Christ. Therefore, if food makes my brother stumble, I will never eat meat lest I make my brother stumble. Like Paul's going to the utmost extreme right here in the end of that. If that's the case, then I'm not even going to touch meat just in case. Like that's the radicalness that times Paul shows like as an example that like by any means it takes to help someone. And in this case, so it gave an idea of like that worshiping basically of idols and stuff is sinful to God because like there's only one God. And for us to just encourage that would be doing sin, causing someone to like just get the wrong idea and then stumble. And that is the kind of idea that I'm seeing, even like what I'm seeing how with these preferred pronouns. Not to say that I'm going to stop you wanting to uh, be labeled these different pronouns and stuff. But like when you say that you're like transgender and you now want me, like you want to hear me call you a her or he when you're like completely when you're obviously the other gender, and you're like make it kind of clear on that, by my own conscience and not wanting to give the wrong idea, to honor God and to stay with truth and to be honest, I simply just can't agree with that. I cannot agree with calling someone the obvious wrong pronoun. Again, this is like when it's like pretty clear. Like I'm fine on like you seeing the pronouns and like not raising the question, and like what it even addresses, like sure we can like probably eat the food if there was no question raised about it, if it wasn't mentioned or anything. Like we don't, like I don't need to ask what your gender is just to try to like figure out what's truthful to do about the situation. It's just when it comes to uh when it comes to that situation that, so do so certainly do tell me like how what you think of, like is that respect, is that giving like respect to someone? If please give like I'm certainly putting this video out to try to like get feedback as well, not be like just my only words and stuff. Uh, and but if anything, just simply raise the question. Like try to get like some critical thinking on, instead of just listening to what someone deems to be respectful. Because that's the thing. Like there's one thing to respect all humans, to respect one another, to share love, but it's another when that is demanded in a way that breaks your conscience on what's right and wrong, and in my case would dishonor God on what I'm trying to keep honoring to with any part of like whether I'm playing a game or whatnot. I'm always wanting to honor God. It like to set a God aside would be disregarding him for any moment, and that would feel sinful to me. Uh, so it becomes a problem when someone, like I can't respect the respect that you expect that's respectful, if that makes sense. So that's the troubling issue. Or was it I also link this there's a whole page that's that I was shared to uh in a means trying to like, I guess like explain like respect. But funny enough, like looking through it provided pretty good verses, but it's like kind of like a long article, uh and it looks like it's from like gotquestions.org. I'm not too sure how much they follow into the Bible. That would be like my kind of questioning of it, because there's a few parts I kind of would question, but that's why most I would like encourage on like anything is don't just like go off of one what one person says or whatnot. Even with me, don't even just follow up just simply what I say. I try to reflect and point to what the Bible says, what just plain truth says. Like go to the source of truth, And as far as I know, the source of the truth is the Bible. And then I'm sure like many would just like then argue, well, that was written by people, and like, well, look, like here we look at the evidence where the Bible came from. uh, how did it got preserved throughout the ages? How much evidence of manuscripts still are keep the same? That's just a few side things on that. But my tangent. Oh, he was using a word in here. The dilemma. It brings such a dilemma for all any Christians that want to just speak truth, and someone then wants to be called as a pronoun. And my argument is like what I just shown, like in Corinthians 8 and all that, is I just don't want to give encouragement to false ideas, false beliefs that I can't believe in, and then really show myself as a hypocrite, if anything. Uh, and that's the thing with like respect, is do consider it going like both ways. Like I'm fine on doing my best to give you respect. I don't care if you don't give me respect on that. That's not my condition to give you respect. I give you respect because you're human, that you exist, you're valid. And I don't care what belief you do, what your beliefs are, or whatever pronoun you want to be called. I'll give you respect as best as I can. And that's even teaching of the Bible, that God commands for us to share love, because He showed love us sinners. He came to save sinners, and I'm a sinner as well. So, and well, and that's the thing with like humility and like showing humbleness to someone, is it does take being humbled. Takes understanding our place. I also looked up, tried to look up like what just pronouns are, and uh, like this dictionary says relation or reference to a particular thing or situation, high or special regard, esteemed. So I could see like in general as respect, considering of like you're seeing someone like in honor, like which that's one of the things like I would like agree to like simply do like I I won't mind even like regarding you as like a king or something if you wish that on me. Uh, it's just don't ask me to dishonor uh, the truth that I understand with God, to just to make you happy and feel respected. I I may can try to argue that's not really respect, uh, but at the same time, I'm as best as I can, because it's another passage, is to keep peace with all men, with make peace with everyone that you can. Like basically, I'm not here to try to fight and cause fights or whatnot. We are called to be peacemakers, and at times that does mean for us to be humble and let ourselves get beaten up at times, to just not cause a fight. And so yeah, and in regards of giving esteem to someone, there's this verse that I think is really interesting point to like look at here. Complete my joy by being the same mind, having the same love. Oh, it's just Philippians 2:2-4. A lot of times I use English Standard Version. It's one of the versions that I feel I heard, which a little side note with versions. Uh, it's good to kind of like look through like certain versions or so. Like obviously the big known one is King James version, but it's like that's old English, and there's reasons why they like update it to be because language is a hard thing to is a complicated thing. There's some reason God created it that way, but he provided the Bible in so many in like in all common languages. So it's like there's no excuse to not find a Bible that's in your own language. If you do have one, like do please tell me. And even like the tribal like thing, like there's people that like God is reaching out to, and even if let's say the so scenario that someone didn't get reached a word, God is fair to judge them according what they do know. So, but all that to say that there's a reason there's a lot of versions, and even lately, new modern versions they're looking back at the manuscripts and looking closely what in context the verses say, and using best way to say that on what we understand with English today. So it's why we're not using old the these and thous and stuff, which still can read it. You can still read King James version and still have an understanding to it. It's just for a lot of like new age people. I'm guessing would probably have a hard time reading it and like just making sense of it. But yeah, all that to say, I'm using English Standard Version, Philippians 2:2-4. Complete my joy, being the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition. Like here's the big thing: nothing of selfish ambition. So I'm sorry to say, trying to say this in the most kindest way, it might be a little blunt, but wanting a preferred pronoun might be kind of a selfish ambition or conceit. But in humility, count others more significant than yourself. And even though I was just saying this portion like this, but yeah, I'm not going to put on. I'm going to do what I can to not put on my own selfishness on thinking or even knowing like what's right and wrong to impose that on someone, even through uh, a a a demand that's think of the word an impossible demand. I'll still try to be, uh, but in humility, count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also the interest of others. Even like click on this and like look at full chapter, which I would encourage on like if any of these like little verses uh, to before you get any mistake of like taking them out of context. It's good to read the whole chapter, and not just in the chapter, but like the whole book, to understand what it's writing about. Because that's the danger of like just taking a little portion of a verse. You could, if you don't put it in context on what was said before or after, uh, can be completely out of context, because it's like there's like someone could like be referring to something of like, you heard it say, like Jesus even said, like, and like you heard it say this and stuff, and if you just took that and said that, like, oh, Jesus said that, and it's like, no, he was referring to what popular sayings were, and to make a point of something else. And so take things in context is basically what I'm just saying there. Complete my joy, have this mind among yourself, yours in Christ, who thought was a form of God, did not count equally with God a thing to be grasped. Like Jesus could have like been crazily prideful and had like all the right to like glorify himself basically, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. Like imagine the powerful deity of God brought himself down to be a lonely human, a mortal human, uh, to just sacrifice his life. And being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Therefore God has highly exalted him and bestowed him in the name that is above every name, that the name of Jesus every knee should bow, heaven and earth, on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So basically saying like like after saying to like count others as higher than yourself, because Jesus even did it as example, and he is exalted, for one, that he is God, but also that he fulfilled the most loving thing and humility that like anyone can possibly grasp. Like it's sometimes just kind of amazing to just like read little portions like that, and really helps to just get like little touches of who God is. And what's interesting of God being an eternal God is there's no ending of learning about God. That's both like an amazing thing, uh, and sometimes what is it called? Like I don't think frustrating would be the best word of it, but like, but yeah, you get the idea. Like never ending. Uh, but in heaven, we never stop learning of God, and that's actually an encouraging, amazing thing. But before I run into like another rabbit trail, I wanted to bring that stuff up. Maybe I'll show you this last little thing, which I'll, because it's a different kind of site that like on letting. It just did this. Oh my god! I'm trying to pull the side of it. Grab that. Thank you. I'm trying to just do that, just so you can see more of this page. I'm struggling here, sorry. Not clicking that. Grabbing that, yes. Grab the edge, holding, just need to hold Alt and click side. Not letting me do that. Okay, I give up. It's it's in a website, stepbible.org. I was trying to show you that, but this thing is not cooperating. There we go. Now I can bring it up here. Show you there. Which also then there's other like little links I had up there. But I was going to show. I was simply just bringing this up shortly because this website is very good at looking at the very meanings of words. So, more significant, govern, have authority, like it has like explanation, and I believe it even has the very original word that they used. And you can even like do a word study on that, all in the sake of understanding what they said in the Bible. And like one of the big controversial words that I've heard so many times as an argument is the word like homosexual. And it's like, just look up the word in the original text. Like we have manuscripts that have like the original words, and it's like it's no doubtably what they mean of two of same genders. It's homo. That's why it's why they use the word homosexual, being same gender sex, regardless of age. And they're saying that in the Bible. Would have to bring that up, and sorry, that's like a whole nother like tangent. But again, pointing out to really look into that, you could just look at this and look at the word, look at sympathy. So if you want to really go get down to the very word of like what they even used in the original text, what that word meant in the language, you can look it up. And so yeah, just in case I forget to type out like because there's this guy, which this is the one I was like talking about earlier that had all this article, which seems like it can be like a pretty good read. It just, I would caution again, like do look into what the Bible like teaches with that, if you want to be if you're wanting to really follow what God commands. And this is the say for a Christian on the dilemma to follow with someone's preferred pronoun, by the very least, albeit to not give the impression of acceptance an assumption behind preferred pronouns. While Christ's merciful, I like gave example of like where even Christ didn't condemn a sinner that was caught in the act and stuff. Which for one, they didn't bring the man. What happened to the man? They were just doing it to the woman. Oh, it was cutting off where it was pointing out right here. But yeah, not to give the impression. Okay, this is so yeah. The video's over like 45 minutes. I was hoping I could do a 5-minute thing. I kind of knew that was like with how much I just want to really talk about and like here's a question and stuff like how do you get to just a point with all what I said? Can you say all this in 5 minutes? Can you really? I don't know if it's like I have a problem, like I struggle on how to do that, or I just don't know, or there's just not a way to get all that info and not make it a long video. But I think I made the point I wanted to bring out, and the questions of like where I'm open for feedback. Like my simple question is what is it required to give respect in regards of some preferred pronouns when that steps on the belief of what we believe in the Bible. That is the conflict that we have, and uh, and again, not out of any disrespect. I do want to give all that I can of respect. I do put God higher authority than pleasing another person, because that comes into then the whole question of like, who do you fear more, God that created you, or just man what they think? Or are you afraid of what others just think of you than what God thinks of you? And that's the reality that I fully believe in. I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't believe it in that way. But we of course can have our disagreements. I have there's nothing wrong to say that we would have disagreement with anyone that like would be for like LGBT and the preferred pronouns and all that. We're still human. I can still give you respect. And yeah, I'm just trying to find like how best can I do that? How can I show you that while still honoring my God that saved me? I hope this is informative video that not just gives you throws info of what I believe in or just throws info at you, but giving you trying to help encourage and build you up on in the end on what's best. And I always challenge on like I always think I always put out this thing challenger, what you call it, seek truth, not the truth that you would want to be true, just what is true, because not all truths are true, and there can certainly be contradictions, and that's why not every belief can just be true, because each type of belief would contradict the others. But yeah, I'm trying to. I guess I'm just taking a long ways of just like ending here because I'm trying to think of like some big statement, but I think I said enough. I hope you all have a good day. God bless you. I hope I, in any means, shared love with the effort on making this video, and I do thank you if you did watch through the whole video. I do hope it really does help you. And again, I have it open if you wish to try to help me understand this dilemma or understand what is even asked of respect. Please do share. I do hope you take care. God bless. Bye bye.